Okay, so if I was an up-and-coming copywriter and I wanted to make a lot more money, establish myself as one of the best in the entire market, and level up my skills fast, this video is exactly what I would do. Let's get into it. And by the way, I'm recording this for you from one of the tallest buildings in Doha, Qatar. We're on the 43rd floor in a very quiet, beautiful restaurant. The scene is fantastic, and I just thought I gotta share this with you right now while I'm here. And looking at the city from here gives you quite a different perspective. And it's a lot like that with copywriting too, because when I was making 4 to 5K a month, I was stuck and I didn't have a zoomed out high level perspective of what I should do to get to the next level. And I had a lot of different people telling me a lot of different things like, you be a copywriter for a little while, then you gotta start a business, or, be a copywriter, then like advance your skills and become something more than a copywriter, or like if you're gonna be a copywriter, you need to write sales pages. And like, I was very, very confused. Or if you wanna be a copywriter that gets paid a lot, you should charge premium for sales pages and do revenue share deals. And so there's a lot of different information, a lot of different opinions, and I think that they're all great. But what I've focused on over my career and what I've helped 72 of my private clients do to hit 6 figures and maintain it, and dozens to hit multiple 6 figures and $25,000, $30,000, even $50,000 every single month. Even one of them's a millionaire now. What I'm going to share with you in this video is going to help you to do that too. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, so there are 3 things I would focus on. There's always 3, isn't there? And the first one is getting the biggest clients in direct response as fast as possible. And when you close one of these massive clients, you're going to get several very unfair, powerful advantages. The first one is income insulation, because big clients, they have a lot of money. They're spending a lot of money on ads. They're spending a lot of money on organic. They're spending a lot of money. They can't afford to go out of business. So they're willing to invest. They're willing to pay copywriters a lot of money. And when you have clients like this, you don't have to worry about losing your client from a "we can't afford you" standpoint. Maybe you could still lose the client from a if you don't deliver results, and we're going to get into that in point number 2. But when you're working with one of these big companies, it's very difficult to lose the client if you're good at what you do. So that's the first thing, is you get a lot of income insulation when you have a big client like this. The second thing is you're going to meet a lot of very talented, smart marketers and other people in the business who are going to be able to make introductions for you. They're going to be able to refer you in the future. You're going to make some very powerful connections, because the best in the business work with the best businesses in the business, right? So you want to be around these people. And I experienced this because when I closed my first massive client, my first whale, they were making $20 million a year. And I made friends with the copy chief, and the copy chief of that company trained me up a lot. And over the last 6 years, he's referred me a ton of business. I've made probably about $330 something thousand just from introductions that he's made. So very, very powerful, very, very effective way to continue to increase your income. I really can't stress enough how powerful this is, because when you know these people, they're going to pull you with them when they go get other clients. And you're going to learn a lot of things from them as well. And that's the third thing, is that you're going to rapidly improve your skills, because the demands that big clients have, they require a certain level of skill. So they're going to force you to level up. You're going to get a lot of data. That data is going to inform you how to improve your skill, inform you where you're lacking, show you what you need to improve. And the team is big enough that there's probably going to be several seniors in the company that have more experience than you at writing copy, for example. So like I told you, that previous client of mine with the copy chief, I learned a lot from the copy chief. With small businesses, you don't really have copy chiefs, so you don't get to learn the same way. And the fourth powerful advantage when you work with these big clients is all the names and results that you can use on your portfolio and your CV. The next time you go for a gig, you have all these things that you can brag about. You have all these wins that you can brag about. So these wins will completely change other people's perspective of you, right? Because they're going to look at you and they're going to go, damn, this, so-and-so is incredible. They've generated these results. They've worked with these people. They know these people. It's very, very powerful, and it's a lot easier to stand out from all the other competition. So when you get these big clients, you get to meet these smart people. You get to get all these results. You rapidly improve your skills, and you have a lot of income insulation. So that'd be the first thing I'd suggest you do. Now, the second thing, and I would do this at the same time, I wouldn't do this next. When you're working with these big companies, you need to level up your skills really, really quickly. So what I would recommend you do in the early days, as fast as possible, is get private coaching from one of the best coaches in the industry, because that way they can fast track your skills. They can accelerate progress. It is difficult to learn copywriting. Copywriting in any industry, any marketing strategy, everything about copywriting takes time to learn. And if you try to figure it out by yourself, you're going to fall behind. And you don't want to take up all the copy chief's time if you're working with these big companies either, because then you're going to be a little demanding and you want the copy chief to feel like it's easy to work with you. So I would definitely recommend you get a copy coach as fast as possible. And when you do get this copy coach, you have a lot of other unfair advantages that you wouldn't have without it. For example, you can take on any project and you can crush it because you got somebody in your corner to support you. It becomes easier to generate referrals and get more projects because your work is so good. It exceeds their expectations. You make them so much money. You impress everybody in the team. You're going to probably get referrals even faster. The other thing is work becomes easy. It's no longer as stressful because you have somebody in your corner helping you. And work becomes easy not because it's easy in general, but because you become better. You become a stronger copywriter. And when you're stronger at your craft, it's a lot easier to get results for people and the work doesn't become as overwhelming. And the other thing is that you also get a lot of your time back, because when you have a coach, they save you a lot of time to figure out stuff that you might have to figure out all by yourself usually, and that might take you days. But with a copy coach, you can get it done a lot faster. So priority number one is to get massive clients. And priority number two is to get that copy coach to help you. And then after a few years of doing that, I would hit 25K and I would stay there and maintain the income while I get clarity and create a vision for something I want to do next. So there's this thing that happens with copywriters that they hit 5K or they hit 10K, and then they think that to get to the next level, they have to do something completely different from copywriting. And that is usually because they haven't worked with the biggest clients and because they haven't had a copy coach to take their skills to the next level. So they don't really know what's possible and they don't really know how to generate insane results for businesses, right? Especially big businesses. So they start looking outside of copywriting for a way to increase their income. And it's actually a lot like when you first get introduced to copywriting or making money online. It's like you have all these different options. And in the early days, you have to decide, like, I'm going to stay focused on just one of these. I'm not going to do e-com and copywriting and crypto. I'm going to have to choose one and stay focused. And I think a lot of people make this mistake that they get to the point where they're making 5 to 10K with copywriting and they think that's the ceiling, like that's the end. And to get to the next level, I have to pick up another business model or I have to do something else. And in my experience, working with hundreds of copywriters, I'd say 10K is actually pretty low. Like, I would say it's not beginner, it's not like super advanced, but it's like in the middle. Like, there is so much more that you can do before you have to do something else. But 10K is not the top of what you can do with copywriting. You can take copywriting to the next level. You can take copywriting to 20K, 25K. There's a lot of clients I work with privately. One of them, he hit $29,000 last month. And you know, he is working really hard, but thanks to AI, he's able to get a lot more work done. Like 5 years ago, you could definitely make $30,000 a month from copywriting, but you would spend a lot of time on it. Whereas today with AI, you can still do it, but you have a lot more free time that goes with it. So if you're at like 10K and you're thinking like, oh, you know, maybe I should go do something else. Like, there's so much more that you can do with your skill first. You can do so much more before you do the next thing. You just need to stay focused. And that's why I say, like, when I hit that income, I would stay there for a while. I'd stay at that level for a few years. And so what I would do is I would get ahead and get on top of my expenses. I'd start saving. I'd get some of my time back. And when you get that time back and you have some capital, now you're coming from a place of power. You also have walkaway power. So you can fire clients you don't enjoy working with. And you can start building a strong foundation that you can take to the next level where if you want to build an offer, that's fine. If you want to become a marketing director, that's fine. I don't necessarily recommend you go down those paths immediately. I think you need a vision and you need clarity, and we can talk about that in another video. But just real quick, like when you build an offer, you have to learn a lot of other skills other than copywriting. So it's not like you can just create an offer and it solves everything. Like, you need to learn other skills and you need to have a vision and you need to be able to build a product that's actually valuable. Because if you just sell some crap, which I don't assume you will, but if you do, you know, over time very quickly, like, people start to catch on that it's not a very valuable product. And then you have to launch a new product and then you have to launch a new product. And it's like, you make more money from copywriting than constantly launching new and new products usually. So in my experience, I'd say, like, sit back, you know, start accumulating some capital, get some of your time back, get clear on your lifestyle, get clear on your goals, and then start thinking about your next step. Now, at this point in the video, you're probably asking yourself, okay, that sounds great, but how do I close that massive client that changes everything? Well, I recorded a video on my channel where I cover the 12 strategies that have proven to work to close clients. And we've tested these strategies for 5 years in the dojo. Me and my private clients, we've refined them. They work, they will continue to work. So once you finish watching this video, go ahead and watch that one and see exactly which strategy makes the most sense for you to close those premium clients. But what I'm about to say next is really important, because once you know exactly which strategy to use to close premium clients, you have to make sure that you establish yourself, that you have good framing, that you have good positioning, that you use everything you can to get those big clients. And in the early days, that can be sometimes very difficult because maybe you don't have a lot of results right now. Maybe you don't have a lot of names that you can drop. Maybe you don't have a lot of brands that you've worked with or connections. And how I like to think of client getting is kind of like a video game. It's like if you haven't closed a 7-figure client, maybe you need to accumulate some clients at 6 figures, at high 6 figures, get them some wins and use all those wins in your CV or in your portfolio to close that very first 7-figure client. And once you've closed that first 7-figure client, then maybe you got to accumulate some 7-figure client wins to close that 8-figure client. It's like you keep leveling up your character, you keep leveling up the achievements, you keep leveling up the skill set, and you just keep doing that. You just keep building and building and building. And every single time you build, you get to the next level. And then when you get there, then you get to the next level by accumulating those ones. And then when you get there, then you keep leveling up, right? Now, sometimes you can skip that whole process if you have the right connections, which is why I say it. Like, again, it's so important that you keep getting wins. And if you get a copy coach, sometimes they're also able to give you that introduction that you might need. Sometimes, right? Sometimes that happens. But basically what I'm saying in this video is that you need to make sure you have the skills from a client acquisition standpoint to get these big businesses. Because once you can get these big businesses and they're paying you, you can afford the copy coach and you can afford going to the next level, and you can invest in your brand and you can share these wins and you can share the names that you're working with, and you can just keep growing and growing and growing. It all comes back down to knowing how to close clients. And if you want help to close clients, and like I said previously, if you want help with client getting, there's a video on my channel where I cover the 12 proven ways to close clients. So go watch that video. Okay, last but not least, and this is a big mistake I made in my career. I don't want you to make the same mistake as me. When I closed these big clients at the beginning of my career, I didn't capture enough success stories. I didn't get enough data from them. I didn't get enough data. I didn't take screenshots. I didn't ask them how the emails or the ads or the landing pages were performing. I didn't spend enough time capturing the success. I didn't spend enough time capturing the case study. And if you don't do this, then it's like, what's the point? You spend all that time getting all those clients. You spend all that time working for them. You trade so many hours of your life to work for these big companies, and you have nothing to show for it at the end. Like, the result is the leverage, the result that you generate them, the wins that you get them. Those are the things that are worth something. Because if you close a 5K client, it's like you trade your time for 5K, it's done. 5K is gone, right? But if you close a 5K client and you make them $2 million, now it's like you can use that $2 million as a brag. You can use that $2 million as a win to get another 5K client. Like, you can use that win, right, to get 5 more 5K clients. That's like $25,000. So the win actually generates you a lot more money than the deal itself. And this is so, so important. So as you go, and even right now, like, even if you don't have big clients, like the current clients you have, are you capturing those results? Even if you're under an NDA, even if you're under a thing where you cannot disclose the data, just take the screenshots, save them privately, capture all the success, get all that data, and then maybe 6 months or a year after you finish working with them, you can start to, blow all the sensitive information, but you can start talking about these wins publicly because you no longer work with the company. You can start talking about the wins that you've generated them and the wins you've generated your clients in general, right? So don't make the mistake I did and not ask for the stuff and not capture the stuff and not save it. Like, save it on your own Google Doc. Also, when you write copy for big businesses, make sure you write it on your own Google Drive. Don't write it on their Google Drive. Write the copy first on your drive. If they request the copy, then you just create a copy of it and you share it on their drive too. Because all that copy that you write for years, if they have it on their drives and you guys stop working together, you're going to lose access to all of it. And even if you don't share that copy with people because it's private, you still want it as an archive for yourself, as a swipe file for yourself. Like, there's so many emails I wrote in the early days that I don't have access to because I didn't write them on my own Google Drive. I didn't write them on my own account, and that was such a stupid mistake. And I really wish I had like thousands of those emails. I don't have them anymore. And it's like, I remember writing them. I kind of know what I talked about, but I wish I could just reference them sometimes when I have a project that's similar. So get the data, get the case studies, capture everything that you can use to go and close that next big client. And actually, in that video where I share the 12 proven ways to close copywriting clients, I actually talk a little bit about how to get testimonials. I talk a little bit about how to get the case studies and how to get introductions and how to do things that I talked about in this video. So make sure you go watch that video next, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.